When Museveni is well known, what is not known is chicken. Enkoko teziriwo bas kale tuzuvudeko. The press unit can later on another occasion bring the details. So this young man is getting a profit after deducting costs of 55 million shillings per month. People are dying to be in parliament, to do what, to look for money in parliament. Parliament is not a place of money. Money is in the business. So the profits which Byamukama makes is much more than what you would get as a mpakasi for the government. As a rutich, that's what we call it in law. He's selling 300 trays of eggs per day, in addition to milk, bananas, etc. This is just on 4 acres. Because Byamukama took the 4 acres model, which we have been talking about since the election of 1996. It was in the manifesto of the NRM. The 4 acres model. I had done the Chivaro, and in the manifesto I recommended, and the manifesto committee accepted and put it in the manifesto, 1996. But people don't pay attention. Now, these 302 trays of egg farmers in Masaka, Bundubujo, and other areas who have listened to our advice. The cattle corridor has become prosperous by the mere fact of change in enterprise selection. Those are emwanyi. Mwabale namo press unit namo waroke munkoze banange. Aba press unit bambe nabo waroke bakoze bakubira mungala bali eyo. Kati batulaze emwanyi. Mwabale zo mwanyi oba barasimenye bulungi. Emwanyi with matoke akiria, but emwanyi kale mwebale. Aba press unit nabati bali ebyabwerere waroke bakoze. The cattle corridor has become prosperous by the mere fact of change in enterprise selection from beef to dairy. Some elements of underutilization of the land that still persist notwithstanding. Abalalo abomulukola bagagawala wadde bakyali n'ebibulamu. They have not fully implemented our advice, but just by the mere change of enterprise from beef to dairy, bali bulungi bayinza kubalaga amanyumba gaabwe. They can show you the houses if they have captured them, this press unit. I will meet the dairy farmers of Churhura and Kazo districts on the 2nd of January 2024 to discuss that underutilization of the land, among other issues. So, all those who have listened, either wholly or partially, to our advice are doing well. You cannot have intensive agriculture without extensive agriculture for a lucky country like Uganda, which is capable of both. Here I cannot recommend to you only intensive agriculture. No. We need both. Both intensive agriculture, okukola awafunda, eryo ddagala ly'abantu abettaka ettono. That is the medicine for the people with small pieces of land. But the people with big pieces of land can do both intensive and extensive. And indeed they must do both. They must do both. Why? This is because in order to support the dairy, the fish farming, the piggery, the poultry enterprises, you need animal feeds. Emere y'ebisoro, emere y'ente, emere y'enkoko, emere y'embizi, emere y'ebyennyanja. You need animal feeds. Where do the animal feeds come from? They come from maize. Who should produce maize and other additives like soybeans, etc.? I went to some place in northern Uganda and I found some people promoting soybeans. Then I asked him, I said, this soybean you are poacher. This soybean you are promoting, you are promoting for whom? Because me, I have got two medicines for the small people of 4 acres and less, and medicine for the big people. So edagala no lyani. People are not clear. Yes. Ukola namanyi, namanyi how? Even if I work very hard, I can't lift this house. However hard I try. You work hard on a rational formula. You must have something rational on which you work hard, but you cannot have something irrational. You cannot have somebody of 2 acres and you give him a low value crop, and you think akolena manyi and do what? So therefore, the ones who should grow these low value crops, but which we need to make animal feeds, it should not be the small holders of 4 acres or less. No. Abatumbateka mu kasoli ebikado ebyo abasoga they have caused a lot of problems for them and so on. Why? It is because the earnings per acre are small. 1 acre of maize in a year will give you, they say, about 4 million shillings out of 2 seasons, 2 harvests. The seasons in Nyankore are called Eshumi. There are two Eshumis. One Eshumi is Katumba, the one of March to May, where you harvest of Bujagashe, the smaller crop. And then the bigger Shumi is Itumba, the one of August to December, where you harvest what they call omwaka, the main crop. With the maize, if you do 2 times, you will get, if the yield is good, you will get about 4 million shillings, which means 2 million for each harvest. Now remember, this 4 million is gross, what they call gross. You have not removed the costs. Zona wamu. You have not removed the costs. If you have got only 3 acres of 1 acre or 1 acre for commercial agriculture, how will that money get you out of poverty? 4 million, after you remove the costs, you remain like with 2.5 million. How will you get out of poverty? If you have got only 1 acre or 2 acres. And all those people have leaders, have relatives who are educated, leaders of all types, they are all there. So why can't they advise them? Or why can't they tell them, be polite and say, we hear a stupid man called Yoweri Museveni. He keeps talking about this issue. Listen to him. If you don't have time to advise them, tell them to listen to me. I am here, always talking. No modesty to say, listen to Museveni. Then you don't tell them anything useful yourself. Yet they are your relatives, they are your, I don't know what, they are your followers. What sort of leader are you? A leader unto darkness and death for those people. Like the Europeans described one of the leaders in the past. Remember, the 4 million shillings we are talking about in a year includes costs. It is gross income, not profits. So how will you get out of poverty? With maize on a small scale. However, this same maize, which I am not recommending for the one of 1 acre and 2 acres, I strongly recommend it for the one of 100 acres. Because with 100 acres, he will earn 400 million. So it's not small money. It is just the Chibaro. Because 4 times 10 acres is 40, times 100 it is 400 million. With 1,000 acres, he will earn 4 billion. So, Duma. What they call Kasori in Uganda. What they call Ebchor in these other groups. Can get you billions of money. But you must do it on a big scale. You can be a billionaire through maize. After you get many American people who are maize billionaires. They call it corn. For them, they call it corn. So the issue is the Chibaro. The Chibaro. Therefore, low value crops like maize, like cotton, like sugarcane, etc., will earn a lot of money if they are grown on a large scale. Moreover, the intensive agriculture cannot be profitable without the large-scale, extensive agriculture. Mama Janet and myself get good money from the Ankole longhorn cattle at Kisozi because we rear them on a large scale. There, they were showing you the advice we gave to these people here in the cattle corridor to rear Frisian cows. But at Ixos, I don't have a single Frisian cow. They are all Ankole. And Mama Janet and myself make very good money. Why? Because we are rearing those cows on a big scale. Low value on a small scale, but on a big scale, very good money. We would not make good money if we were rearing them in 1 acre. If you said you rear Ankole cows in 1 acre, I would say, please, go to Butavika for checkup. You cannot mislead me, and I keep quiet. I give you the address of Butabika. Say, Genda Butabika Bakebere. Oyagala mfo bwavu. How can you? Are you my enemy? Ulimulabe wange. Ulimulabe wazade lyange. Nongumaza mbumbere kunte ensagara kuyikemu. I can't. I tell you to go to hell. Because we would not make good money if we are rearing them in 1 acre, which would mean 12 cows with zero grazing. Because with zero grazing, you grow the grass, you cut it, you feed the cows in the shed. 1 acre can look after 12 Ankole cows. According to Ademun, Dr. Ademun, our girl in veterinary, 1 acre can feed 12 Ankole cows in a year. It can feed 8 cows, Frisian cows. Now, with beef, you sell 20% of the herd in a year. That is the formula. If you have got cows, you can sell off 20% in a year. So if my herd is 12 cows in my 1 acre, zero grazing, I will sell 2 cows in a year because that is the 20%. Even if I get 1 million per cow, I will never get out of poverty. In this case, it will be 2 cows. How can you get out of poverty with this type of money? But if it is 8 Frisian cows, you will get good money. That's what Nyakani is doing. The 1 acre, which is not useful to me for the Ankole cows, is very useful for the Frisians. Therefore, please, Ugandans with agricultural land, this is the way to go. These policies have already caused a lot of changes in our economy. Coffee production now stands at 9 million bags from 2 million bags in 1986. For Abaganda tugamba nti embulira tefa yonna. Embulira tefa yonna. If you preach, even the Bible says, the sower, the parable of the sower, who went to sow. Some of the seeds fell on bad ground and dried up, but some fell on fertile ground. So, waliwe takejimu mu Uganda amagwana nayo jegali n'olwazi ensigo zigwa ku lwazi, but some of the seeds fall on fertile ground. And I'm very happy because abawuliriza bubagenda maso. Now, because of the preaching and the support we have been giving, because we have not only been preaching, we have been supporting. Tuwalituweka musente emyaka gino gyonna kuva ku NADS, kuva ku entandikwa, kuva ku kyese baba naye ne tuteekamu baba. Omuganda wagambira nti adinga n'amawolu agajjamu omukuto. I don't know why the Baganda didn't like Maori. Maori are good, but so for the Baganda they said that you are not supposed to be satisfied with the Maori. But they said adinga na Maori. If you eat the Maori, the cold food repeatedly, you will also get satisfied. So we will ogwemba deko okudiga na Maori emyaka gino gyonna. And then so because of the preaching and supporting, coffee production now stands at 9 million bags from 2 million bags in 1986. Milk production is now 5.2 billion liters from 200 million liters. This is 200 million liters, not 2 million. 200 million liters in 1986. Tea production is now 60 million kilograms compared to 3 million kilograms in 1986. I can go on and on. This expansion is by those families that listened to our message. What will happen if all the families with land for agriculture listen to our message? This is my question. So this is point number one I want to give to you in this new year. The other sectors of wealth and job creations are industry, services, and ICT. Industry has got two parts, factories and artisanship. We now have 8,617 factories in Uganda, employing 829,000 people. Those factories, you can see them all over the place. You get towns of factories. In the past, we had thousands of shops. All the colonial shops were full of buduka. Batunda uzi, batunda umuzugo gwetara, vaseline biki. Naye nare mukati yaleta amatawuni g'amakolero. You find the whole area full of makolero. Singa mbalaga n'amamve. Now these factories are employing 829,000 people. Now, to get the image, the public service, all of them, teachers, soldiers, sweepers, what do you call these, clerks, all those people are 480,000. But the makolero, agakajja, which have just come, are now employing 2 times the size of the public service. Owomuluka wegomborera so abo boda banange n'omutongole wali bonna bali mutwala anamunana. Emirimu gy'abana Uganda jedda gye balwaniranga the jobs emirimu, omwami owomuluka owegomborera, karani wokugomborera. Karani awandika ki? Awandika omwenge, bani abasogoda omwenge. Now NRM yo yabaletera emirimu emipya, 800,000 jobs from factories. Singa bana ba PP abamole ga PP bana factory nibo baragako to see how many people sitting working in the factory. Nabo bali abo nabo mbasabira ba PPU kubanga enjalo nakulwa kusaba aba PPU nabo mbasabire ko. So these are the factories in Uganda. They're employing 829,000 people. Factories are flooding in. The only slowing factor has been the corruption of some parasites that have been asking for bribes to give the entrepreneurs land or licenses. The parasites have been disturbing our investors, delaying them. They want bribes, they want shares for which they don't pay, but we fight with them. Otherwise, the potential is huge. Additionally, we need to harmonize with our people working in the factories. Sometimes they are impatient for good salaries from the employers. We agree that our factory and other workers should get good salaries if the employers are getting good profits. Profits are influenced by the cost of production. How much does electricity cost? How about water, etc.? The government is working on this issue of lowering costs to make Uganda's products competitive in the domestic and export markets. These are the costs of electricity, water, transport, the cost of money borrowed from banks, etc. As we lower these costs to the rational and realistic levels, we will be able to correctly deal with the issue of the salaries of workers. Otherwise, we are pushing for all-round industrialization, using our raw materials from agriculture, forestry, fisheries, minerals, etc. The NLM plan has always been to shift people from agriculture to industry and to services. Those sectors' absorption capacity is much bigger than agriculture. Too many people in agriculture is part of the underdevelopment. If you want to know countries which are still backward, you see one of the characteristics is having a big percentage of people in agriculture rather than industrial services. If you go to the USA and you say how many people are in agriculture, only 2% of the population of 320 million people, only 2% are in agriculture. Where are the others? In industrial services. But here, they say they are all in agriculture. Mukorachi, what are you doing in agriculture? Is the seed planted by 10 people to be put in the ground by 10 people? What are you doing? Too many people in agriculture is part of the underdevelopment. A tractor can plow 1,200 acres in a season. If you have got one tractor and you use it to plow, it can plow 1,200 acres in the season before this. Like if you say Katumba, the one of March, because they start plowing early. When the rain starts raining in March, you plant. So in that season, one tractor would have, according to these people, they say it can plow 1,200 acres in a season. The 40 million acres of Uganda that are arable, therefore, need 30,000 tractors and their drivers. So if you are looking for agriculture workforce, if you have tractors, the 40 million acres which we have in Uganda for agriculture can be managed by 30,000 tractors, and each tractor is driven by one person. Even when you include other activities such as harvesting, you will find that the present huge number of people in agriculture are redundant. The grandfather is there, the father is there, the grandson is there, they are all on 2 acres. What are they doing? What are they doing? Therefore, they are part of what we call disguised unemployment. There is that phenomenon in economics where people appear to be employed when in fact they are not doing anything. We call it disguised unemployment. In the coming year, we shall continue our efforts in rationalizing the economy and society of Uganda. With regard to the artisans, I have set up 18 skilling hubs in the whole country. These skilling hubs deal with carpentry, metalwork, shoemaking, motor mechanics, etc. I've directed the State House Controller to expand the spectrum of the skills. That's one of them, of the hubs. The spectrum of the skills to include textile technology, ceramics, ICT, etc. This is in addition to the technical colleges in the country, because these skilling hubs don't replace the technical colleges. The technical colleges are there, dealing both with academic and technical skills. Here we deal mainly with the vocational skills, how to do. Even if you don't have a higher education, if you can learn, we teach you. On the side of the capital, after getting the skills, there is the myoga money. That money is there, but people are not following it up. Otherwise, that money is there at every constituency for the myoga. The PDM, I will not talk about PDM this time because that one is there at the parish. But at the constituency, the myoga money is there. We are also ready for any other ideas as to how we can empower the skilled youth after their training. Like when I was graduating the ones of Kololo, many of them were saying, oh, give a capital. We can look at other formulas of how we can give the youth capital after training. But at least the training is going on. The third sector is services, or wereza, which means transport, hotels, tourism, professional services such as lawyers, doctors, engineers, preachers. Preachers are also a service provider. Service providers. All sorts of people providing services. Musicians. This is a fast-growing sector, and it is now employing 4.1 million people. 4.1 million people. We are working on disciplining some aspects of this sector, including assisting, for instance, the musicians to record their songs and also protecting their innovation by copyright law. There is a boy called Kenzo. He came and briefed me about their issues. The government will help them, will help the musicians and the artists to protect their skill, their innovations. Otherwise, with the peace, this sector has been thriving. The ICT sector is a new sector, but many of the ICT graduates are being absorbed into this sector. It is now employing 2.3 million people, both direct and indirect. It will, however, grow more when our people implement BPO, business processing outsourcing, which means that you, for instance, set up a bookkeeping operations in Kampala, okubala ebitabo, but you provide those services to companies in the USA or Canada and send the work over our internet and you are paid here. Uyinza kusinzira wano nobalira abe Canada ebitabo byabwe n'osindikira byokoze okuyita mu internet yaffe gye twabateekerawo, and you are paid here. That's why they call it business processes outsourcing. Bali abebwere basaka obuweereza okuva eno ewaffe. In India, this sector is employing 10 million people and is earning $51 billion. $51 billion. You know how our Bazukuru speak those foreign languages very well. Our you know how the Wayin also speak those foreign languages. But the Bazukuru here, you can't even know that they are from here. You think they are from California or New York or the other one is I can't pronounce them. Oruzungu rwange rwa Chamati Boys, NAC, Native Anglican Church. All the above deal with the issue of homestead incomes and jobs. Because you remember that this evening I want to talk to you about 4 points. So all this time in Chari ku point emu. Eyenyingiza y'amaka n'emirimu. Household income and jobs. The second point is corruption. Those who have allowed themselves to soil their contribution have only themselves to blame. As I said recently, the corrupt are the minority, and it is those who have access to power and public money, and they use that access to be corrupt at the expense of the majority who are the victims. Ababi, abalibenguzi, the corrupt are very few people, because there are people who have got power to do this, to do that, government power, mainly government power. You could also have corruption in the private sector. I think in the companies you can have corruption there. But the one we are targeting is the government one. For now. Somebody is misusing power to favor relatives, to do this, or to take bribes, or steal government money. How many in the population of 46 million? How many have the chance to have power and access public money? There are very few. But if you look at the victims, who are the victims? The big population. Because if you steal money for our hospital, we all suffer. If you steal money for our road, we all suffer. So the problem we're having is lack of mobilization of the victims to expose the corrupt. And it is easy, because like when I made just 2 zonal tours, I went to Achori, and the population, because the population are the victims, they told me so much information, and I've been acting on it. I went to Western Nile, again I got information, and I started acting on it, but not fully. But the information is there. I went to Masaka. I just covered only 3 zones. Then we got busy with other things. But this shows you that it is possible to isolate the corrupt and support because the victims are the majority. It is a question of the concerned people linking with the victims, and then you get the facts. And then we act against the corrupt. As I said recently, the corrupt are the minority, and it is those who have access to power and public money, and they use that access to be corrupt at the expense of the majority who are the victims. It is, however, easy, as I'm telling you, to trace these parasites and smoke them out. Keep tuned to this channel. As we enter the new year, I invite you to keep tuned. Don't switch off your television on this channel of anti-corruption. You will hear stories. Katonda jari. In Uru we say, Rubangatiye. The third point is regional integration. Why regional integration? It is because we need it for prosperity through the wider market it provides for our goods and services. About a year ago, I had to kill the unholy idea of banning Tanzanian rice. Why ban Tanzanian rice? It was because it was cheaper than the Ugandan rice produced by swamp destroyers. The proposal was that I commit 3 mistakes or even sins. Sin number 1, punish Ugandan rice consumers. Remember, I'm not one of them. The Syria Mucheri. The Syria Muyindi, Syria Mucheri, Syria Muchina. Nduwante owa no gwemmanyi. I am from the Interclan, from here. I had never tasted rice until I was 15 years in Barai school. That's when I tasted rice for the first time. So I don't eat the rice. Sin number 1, punish Ugandan rice consumers, although I'm not one of them, by forcing them to buy the expensive rice by Uganda's inefficient producers and therefore empty their pockets, because that's what they wanted me to do. Ban the cheaper Tanzanian rice so that I force them to buy the expensive rice of Ugandan producers who are inefficient. Why don't you produce cheaper like the Tanzanians? Why should Tanzanian rice be cheaper with transport? Why should it be? Now, if I ban it, what does it mean? It means the Ugandans will be forced to spend more money on rice when there was a cheaper one, which was blocked by government. Secondly, kill or disrupt the Tanzanian efficient rice producers instead of helping them to grow. Because now, number 2, I will now disrupt the Tanzanian good producers who are producing cheap rice. I disrupt those. Second sin. Thirdly, provoke Tanzania to ban our products going into Tanzanian market and therefore prepare the suicidal practice of protectionism that has crippled many regions in the world. The NRM will not be part of those blind policies. Some of the Ugandan business people cite the non-tariff barriers practiced by other countries because they tell me other countries are doing it. Okay, if they are doing it, if they are doing it, that's their mistake. Me, I will not be part of that. Letting down of the African people. Because like now, you see the issue of the rice. You want to hurt two people. The Ugandan consumer, who is lucky to buy in the same money 3 kilos of rice instead of buying 1 of Uganda. Now you force him to say, no, you must buy Uganda, you must buy Uganda rice. Buy Uganda rice. So, the man would have saved money to do other things. But now he spends 3 times on rice compared to what he would have done if you had not interfered. Then on the other side, the Tanzanian who is coming up, growing cheap rice, now that will also you are frustrating him. He may, if the market is not big enough, he may give up and withdraw. So these are blind policies. In the early years of our government, Mzee Moi at one time closed the border, but I rejected the arguments for retaliation because some people say, oh, we must retaliate. I said, I cannot retaliate. I cannot. If he has closed it, let him close, but me, I will not retaliate. Today, Uganda's exports to Kenya are either equal to our imports from there or sometimes they are higher. So by refusing to be in that mistake, the issue of Kenya and Uganda border issues was resolved. Rationality cannot be ignored indefinitely. We shall continue discussing with our East African community partners, and I'm sure we shall end up with a real common market free of non-tariff barriers, because those barriers hurt the wananchi of all our countries. I've just given you the simple example of banning rice. You hurt the Uganda consumers, you hurt the Tanzanian producers. So if there's mobilization, actually some people think they get popularity out of that. But if you get good mobilization, those who are doing that can get can really be exposed. You are making us, we don't have enough money, and you are. I can block imports of other countries far away from whom we don't have reciprocal benefits. If somebody is only selling, like Japan for instance, they only sell to me. They sell to me. I don't sell to them. There, you may have a case. But these African countries to which you sell and they sell to you, it's not wise at all to. Those non-tariff barriers hurt the wananchi of all our countries. The fourth and final point is again the terrorists from Congo. We are continuing to destroy those people in Congo using mainly air attacks because they are faster and can reach everywhere. In desperation, the terrorists have been trying to send squads into Uganda to kill unarmed civilians and plant bombs. They are able to do this because the border is unclosable. It is long and has got many crossing points, many of them in the bush. Besides, we do not want to close the border because we shall disrupt the lives of the brother peoples of Congo and Uganda. So therefore, apart from destroying the source by attacking those criminals in Congo, The other correct answer is thorough intelligence and internal mobilization. The group of Njovu, Kamusu of 10 that entered from Congo some few months ago has now remained with 3 people, if not 2. Njovu was captured, Kamusu was killed 2 days ago, and the others were killed in the different engagements. Out of the 10, only 3 are remaining, or 2. They are now sending bombers to kill our Bazukuru that have taken up Umalaya, because they live in the ghettos where sometimes there are no cameras. So these terrorists come, like the one somewhere, they got a bomb yesterday. They try to get involved with these our Bazukuru who are taking up that Malaya job, and pretend to be their friends, give them money, then come and leave the bomb there. So you, the Bazukuru of whatever type, all of you, mwena Bazukuru mwena abe bitu byonna nabali abalala benyogeddeko Bazukuru bange abo nabo. Therefore, all the Bazukuru, be alert. Be alert. Actually, yesterday they exposed one of the bomb was exposed. I've forgotten where the intelligence told me, but I didn't recall. It was in Kampala. Therefore, all Bazukuru, be alert. Let everybody show you his electronic identity card issued by NIRA. Tokoragana n'omuntu gw'otamanyi without seeing his identity card. Oba mulina identity card eyo kugira, do you have any, does anybody of you have the electronic identity card to show it to these people on the TV? Any one of them. You have one. Okay, show it to the camera, Nani. Show it to the camera. Show it there. The other one, you have turned it upside down. Those are the real ID cards. Temukiriza zile za Nkuruma Road. But do not accept those printed at Nkuruma Road. Bazukuru, anybody approaching you and wanting you to keep his bag or package, insist that he opens it. If you see anything suspicious, such as a mobile phone in the middle of the package, call the police. Whose card? Is that mine? Oh, that's my own. Where do you get it from? You had taken it before. Oh, now you can see the typical one there. Oh, okay. So you have seen my Barage Yangi. Show it. Those are the cards now. Omuntu atalina card ngeyo tokolagana naye. All hotel and lodge owners to insist on seeing electronic identity cards of everybody and record them. We are hitting them so hard in Congo, they will soon run out of people to send for bombing. In the meantime, vigilance. I wish you a happy 2024. Thank you very much.